Hello everyone, Zeno here. Here to bring in part 5 of What If TMNT Were Teleport in Avatar. Link down description of the fanfiction of this what if. Listen here YouTube. I do not own anything and this is not a scam. Chapter 9, Appa's Lost Days. Wang Shi Tong Desert, 4 weeks ago. Appa had now been just taken by the sandbenders, the bison was tied down and was now being dragged by 3 sand sailors. The leader had made a hand motion for them to stop. Ransack his saddle, the leader ordered. Who knows what treasures are stashed in there. 2 sandbenders ran towards the bison to carry out their leader's orders, but Appa growled and snapped at them to keep them from getting close. He's tied up good, he can't hurt you, the leader said. The 2 sandbenders then jumped up onto the saddle. The sand from their jump got into Appa's nose, which caused him to sneeze. The massive gust of wind hit one of the sand sailors and sent it flying into a sand dune, burying it. What's your father gonna do when he finds out we lost a sand sailor? One of the sandbenders asked the young leader as the others were ransacking the saddle. Nothing, the young leader replied. It's the one we stole from the Hami tribe. He turned to the raiders. Did you empty the saddle? Everything was thrown on the ground. Sokka's water tribe club, Aang's umbrella, some sleeping bags and a few other things. That's it, the young leader questioned as he saw all the items. Nothing but garbage, he exclaimed as he kicked away the club. Doesn't matter, we'll still make a profit from selling him to those beetle-headed merchants. As he said that, one sandbender picked up an umbrella and used it to provide himself some shade. A few hours later, the sandbenders pulled the restrained Appa on their remaining 2 sand sailors to a small campsite, where they were expected by several men dressed in greenish-brown robes, wearing helmets that resembled scarab beetles. A few merchants took the time to observe the restrained sky bison. How's his temper? Up pretty good, the leader of the sandbenders replied. Right when he said that however, Appa gave a loud roar, startling the merchants, who later gave questionable looks to the sandbenders. Most of the time. One merchant looked to their leader. I bet someone will pay a fortune for him in Ba Sing Se. The leader of the merchants looked to the sandbenders. Alright, you got a deal. He handed them a large chest filled with valuables. A few moments later, a large beetle-like creature took the ropes around Appa and pulled him onto some form of cart, with more restraints closing around the already restrained sky bison. Elsewhere in the desert, Appa, Aang called out as he flew on his glider. He blew into his bison whistle. Appa heard Aang's whistle and immediately began to shake loose to try and return to his master. He's your problem now, the sandbender leader called to the merchants as he and his fellow sandbenders rode away on their sand sailors. Appa was able to shake his tail free, which he slapped on the ground and began to take off into the air, accidentally taking the large beetle with him. We need the Shirshu spit darts. One merchant exclaimed as their prize was trying to break free. Goddamn, another merchant replied as he took it in a blow tube out. He loaded one dart in. Okay big fella, you're about to take a nice little snooze. He blew the dart, which hit Appa in one of his legs. The sky bison then fell to the ground as the Shirshu venom began to enter his system. Aang landed on a sand dune and called out to his bison again. Appa. He heard no response and feared the worst. No. He slammed his staff on the ground with airbending and created a mushroom cloud. Appa saw said mushroom cloud as he felt drowsy and began to lose consciousness. The merchants surrounded him as his vision began to fade. We've got to get rid of this one, he's too much trouble. We could sell him for parts. Sometime later, Appa began to slowly wake up. The mighty sky bison was in a massive cage and underneath what appeared to be a Fire Nation circus tent. I understand you've had a rather hard time lately. The circus trainer told the bison as he woke up. That's too bad. You probably felt you had no choice but to behave outrageously. Like a wild animal. The trainer walked up towards Appa's face and patted his fur. But don't worry, you won't anymore. Because I am going to break you. Some time later, the circus trainer began to deliver cabbages to feed many of the other caged animals. He gave one cabbage to a platypus bear. He rolled past Appa, who got up, only to realize his feet were chained and he couldn't move too much. Appa tried to gnaw at the chains but didn't even scratch them. He looked to see the trainer feed some sort of griffin-like creature a cabbage. Appa then began to drool, which was noticed by the trainer. Hungry? He asked as he turned to Appa. Don't worry, I'm gonna feed you too. He held out a cabbage, but quickly pulled it back before Appa could get to it. But not yet. He walked towards the griffin's cage. First, I'm going to show you how you'll earn it. He opened the cage. The griffin then took to the air. The trainer, as he was a firebender, created a fire whip and snapped it towards the griffin. As the trainer tended to the griffin, Appa used this time to inhale, creating a vacuum to pull in the cabbages, allowing him to eat some. The griffin flew in and over the many hoops that hung in the tent. It reached the smallest one before taking it in its jaws and throwing it down to the trainer, who caught it, and didn't yet notice Appa eating the cabbages. Of course, when you preform, the hoops will be flaming. And if you're careful, you won't get burned. He heard Appa burp. He turned to the bison with an angry look. You're about to be sorry. He created a fire whip and snapped it at Appa, creating a firewall in front of the cage and scarring Appa. It's obvious who your previous performer was. He had no idea how to handle you properly. Appa glared at the trainer. Later that night, the circus was crowded and filled with people. A young boy passed by a tent and looked at Appa, who tried to pull in a stack of hay with his breath. Appa looked towards the boy, who took a liking to the bison. The boy's father walked up from behind. I'm gonna go bet a bag of sizzle crisps. Stay here and stay away from that monster. Behave yourself, or you'll regret it. He walked away, letting the boy turn back to the bison. He quickly ran in and rolled up the stack of hay towards Appa. The bison gave the boy a grateful lick before taking and eating the hay. The boy saw two people coming and ran outside, the trainer and the ringmaster of the circus. He's a difficult creature. The trainer began to explain to the ringmaster. Stubborn and willful. I need more time with him. It's too risky right now. Too risky? The ringmaster questioned. What are you talking about? This is the circus, home of fear and danger. He pointed to Appa. I want the wind buffalo to perform tonight. The ringmaster then began to walk away. The trainer turned towards Appa. If you don't behave yourself, he created a flame in his hand, scaring Appa. You'll regret it. He walked away. The boy looked at all of this and still managed to give a smile towards Appa, who looked back at him, taking a small liking to this boy. Let's go. The father told the boy as he pulled him away. See you later, buddy. The boy waved to the bison as he was pulled away. Some time later, the circus had finished up one performance, resulting in an uproar from the audience. In the audience, the boy tried to reach for some popcorn, but the father pulled it away, hogging it for himself. The ringmaster walked onto the center stage. Ladies and gentlemen, he began. Now for something truly special. He created two flames in his hand. A noble beast, so magnificent and rare, it hasn't been seen by human eyes for generations. I give you, the wind buffalo. He created a fiery blast to illuminate the area. A curtain was pulled back to reveal Appa, who was dressed flamboyantly, almost like a clown. Most of the audience laughed at the poor bison, but the boy from before could only look on with sympathy at this animal's poor treatment. The trainer walked with Appa to the center of the tent. Up, the trainer said as he raised his hands, but Appa only scratched himself and turned around in a circle, earning some giggles and chuckles from the audience. Up, you insolent cow. The trainer snapped another fire whip at him. The boy didn't like this one bit. Run away. Get away from him, he told the bison, only to be pulled back from his father. The trainer snapped the fire whip again and Appa took to the air, much to the audience's delight except for the boy. Appa then began to fly in and around many flaming hoops. However, once he flew through a smaller hoop, the flames touched his side. In a startled fashion, he smacked a flaming hoop down with his tail. The ring hit the trainer in the head, resulting in the audience laughing. Appa landed and saw the boy laugh at the trainer's misfortune. This boy's laugh reminded the bison of Aang's laugh. That was enough for Appa to shake off much of his silly clothing. He looked and saw the boy again. Go. You can do it. Appa took this boy's words to heart and attempted to fly away, but a fireball from the trainer prevented him from leaving. Get back here, you stupid beast. The trainer exclaimed as he created another fire whip. Appa came down and smacked the trainer with his tail and sent him flying. Appa was able to fly out of the tent and tear off much of the clothes around him. The boy saw this and smiled, happy for the bison. Appa flew for many hours, maybe even a full day. He still had the chains around his legs that limited his movement with his feet. Appa soared through the sky to the last place he saw Aang, the Wangshitong Desert. The sun was beginning to rise as Appa flew to the sand crater that used to be the entrance to the library. He flew in the sand crater and looked around. He saw nothing and gave a disappointed groan before resting a bit in the crater. Appa began to fly through the massive desert in search for his beloved master. His massive stomach growled, as he hadn't eaten anything in about a day. He saw an egg nearby and tried to eat it, but a salamander-like creature snatched it before he could get to it. Appa looked and saw a cactus. He immediately bit on it, but the thorn stung his tongue, so he spat it out in pain. The sun had now fully risen and the heat began to set in on the hungry and lonely bison. His noose caught scent of something possibly edible. He flew towards a massive rock and into a giant hole, where he began to eat some of the slime off the wall. A few seconds later, he was chased out of the hive by many angry vulture wasps. When he gained enough distance, Appa sent an airwave with his tail that hit the vulture wasp and sent them falling to the ground. The vulture wasps immediately flew back to their hive. Appa sat down and tried to lick some of the sap of his fur, as it was better than nothing at this point. He laid down in exhaustion. A few hours later, the sun had set and night had fallen. Appa had made it out of the desert. His fur was mangled up and dirty. He set his eyes down on a farm. He flew down and walked into a barn, where he drank some water from a tub and ate a whole stack of hay in just a few bites. Appa then laid down on the ground and fell asleep. As he slept, Appa dreamt of an old memory years ago at the Eastern Air Temple, when he was only a cub. Many small bison cubs flew around their mother bison and nuzzled them. An air nomad woman held a basket of apples, which was taken by many little air nomad boys, including a 6-year-old Aang. Choose well, the woman told them. A sky bison is a companion for life. All the bison cubs and their mother sat down as the young boys approached them. The 6-year-old Aang walked up towards the cub that was to be named Appa. Aang smiled as he handed him the apple. The cub sniffed the apple a bit before eating it. He then nuzzled his head against Aang and licked him. I guess this means we'll always be together. The young Aang said as he was licked by Appa, resulting in him laughing. Serpent's Pass, night. The gong, the turtles, and the family they were escorting had made camp. The sleeping Aang had given a slight laugh, not disturbing the others as they were sleeping, as he was having the same dream. Always, Aang said as he slept with a smile. One who noticed this was Leo, who looked on with one eye open and gave a slight smile as well. The sleeping Appa was awoken by a scream. It's some kind of monster. The farmer yelled as he pointed his pitchfork at him. Appa got up and growled at the farmer. The farmer's wife walked in with a torch. As soon as Appa saw the flame, his fear set in. He stood up on his back legs and backed towards the wall, while groaning and roaring in fear, resulting in the farmer and his wife screaming and running out of the barn. Appa flew out of the barn, smashing through the ceiling and flying away as fast as he could. As the bison flew through the air, he didn't notice that he was spotted from a cliff by 2-foot ninja scouts. A flying bison, isn't that the Avatar's pet? One ninja questioned. We must inform the master. The second ninja replied before the two jumped down off the cliff and vanished in the darkness. Appa had, by chance, just flown over the Serpent's Pass. The sky bison had now flown over the ferry that Iroh and Zuko were riding. Iroh saw the bison and recognized it instantly, giving a faint gasp. Zuko was slightly woken up. Uncle, what are you looking at? Is there something out there? It's nothing, go back to sleep. Iroh said to Zuko, who seemed to buy it as he resumed his slumber, resulting in Iroh giving a sigh of relief. Appa had now flown towards a forest, with a tree growing over some form of stone hut. Appa sat down in front of the hut in the form of a crash landing, as he was beyond exhausted. He began to eat some of the grass, but not before another animal's roaring squeal caught his attention. Out of the hut came a massive animal that bore the appearance of a boar mixed with a porcupine. The boar tackled Appa and the two rolled down a hillside. Once they tumbled on the bottom, the two animals begun to slowly circle each other. Appa had many of the boar's quills sticking out of him. The boar roared and Appa roared back. The boar rammed Appa, creating a trail in the ground, and smacked him into a tree, causing it to tumble over. Appa took the tree in his mouth and threw it at the boar, scoring a direct hit. Once the tree landed, the boar jumped up over it and charged at Appa again, who stood on his back legs. Appa took to the boar in his front paws and smashed the boar against the ground before throwing it, creating a large train of destruction through the forest. The boar ran away, giving up the possibility of winning this fight. Appa regained his breath and tried to remove one of the quills, but gave a painful roar as it hurt. Appa then flew back up the hillside and into the stone hut and fell asleep. Foot campsite. Oroku Sake stood in the large tent and looked upon the map of the Earth Kingdom, more specifically, Ba Sing Se. The 2-foot ninja scouts quickly came in and bowed before their master. Master Shredder. They both greeted. What is it? We believe we have found the Avatar's steed, the flying bison. One ninja informed him. Is that so? Sake asked. Did you find the Avatar? The turtles? No, master. The second ninja replied. Just the bison. Perhaps the Avatar lost it. How is this important to me? Sake questioned. If the Avatar lost his pet, then he is likely looking for it. The first ninja began. If that is the case, the turtles are likely with him. The bison is the perfect bait to lure them to us. Shredder gave a slight smile at this. Good. Send the elite ninja, find this animal and bring it to me. Yes, Master Shredder. A few days later, Suki, as well as 5 other of her Kyoshi warriors were in the forest, picking berries and searching for food. One warrior spotted some torn white fur on the bush and took a look at it. Must have been some fight. Suki saw the fur. Wait, let me see that. She took a look at the fur and almost recognized it. Suki then looked up at a trail of destruction uphill and saw more fur. No, it couldn't be. Suki walked up the trail and climbed up the hill. Once she was at the top, she saw the stone hut and the bison that was in it. She gave a slight gasp. Appa. Oh no, she said as she saw the poor condition the bison was in. Appa saw the girl and gave a growl, backing away as the ordeal on him had quite the effect. Suki walked a bit towards the hut with a look of sympathy on her face. Suki slowly set down a few berries and an apple in front of the hut for the bison. It's going to be okay, Appa. Suki said. I have to leave, but I'm going to be back soon with help. She went back down the hill, while Appa looked at the food she left behind. A few minutes later, Suki was addressing her 5 Kyoshi warriors just below the hill and out of Appa's eyesight. No sudden movements. Suki began. He's been lost for a while and it looks like he's hurt. He's shy around people and scared. Stay low, and stay quiet. I can't believe you found the Avatar's bison. One Kyoshi warrior said. Didn't you just see the Avatar a few days ago? Yes, so he can't be too far from here. Suki replied. It's our responsibility to get Appa back to him safely. She said as she and the warriors climbed up the hill. This could be our most important mission yet. Appa looked and saw the Kyoshi warriors. He growled as he backed further into the hut. Give him some space. Suki told her warriors, who backed up. Suki then turned towards the bison. Appa, it's me Suki. I'm a friend. Appa still gave a defensive growl as Suki slowly approached him. I wanna help you, you're hurt. We can help you feel better. Appa still growled a bit. And we can help you find Aang. That name caused Appa to calm down a bit. Suki slowly placed a hand on his large noose. He slowly sat down, putting his trust in this girl. A few moments later, things were looking good for Appa. The Kyoshi warriors removed the chains and the quills from him. They also apparently fed him and cleaned his fur. He gave one of them a lick, which caused her to giggle. However, Appa noticed something that made him growl off to the side. Suki and the other Kyoshi warriors looked to a tree branch and saw what he was growling at. Standing on a tree branch were 4 heavily armed warriors. They bore black sleeveless suits with arm guards, red boots, saucer hats, red capes that flowed in the wind, which also wrapped around their lower faces, concealing them except for their red eyes. They each had a brown belt, which bore a foot symbol. Each one bore a different weapon, a trident, a spear, an axe, and a twin-bladed sword. These were the Shredder's deadliest warriors, the Foot Elite. The elite ninja jumped down from the branch and landed gracefully on the ground facing the Kyoshi warriors. Each of them drew their war fan and a circular shield. Who are you? What do you want with us? Suki demanded. We are here for the bison. Hand it over to us. One elite ninja told them. The Kyoshi warriors each made defensive stances. Who are they? They don't look like Fire Nation. One warrior spoke to the others. These children defend the bison, and are likely allies of the Avatar and the turtles. One elite ninja spoke to another. Suki's eyes widened slightly. Turtles. She regained her composure. If you're looking for the avatar, you're out of luck. The avatar is not here, and neither are the turtles most likely. One elite ninja said to the others. Our orders are to capture the bison. Another elite ninja began. However, if these children are allies of the avatar, perhaps the master may find a use for them. Capture them. The elite ninja each drew their respective weapon and charged forward, while the Kyoshi warriors clashed towards them as well. Appa was about to clash against the enemy, but Suki stood in front while her warriors held off the foot elite. No Appa. Fly away from here. Find Aang. Suki turned back to the fight. Go. Now. Appa gave a growl, but knew she was right. With a regretful growl, Appa took to the air and flew away from the battle. One elite knocked a Kyoshi warrior away to see Appa leave the scene. This bison has fled. Leave it be. Another elite ninja replied. Capture these children, they may have more value. With that the Suki and her Kyoshi warriors clashed against the foot elite. One Kyoshi warrior gave a flying kick to the elite with the trident. While it did make contact, he rolled back and landed on his feet before swiping the trident, which she was barely able to avoid with a limbo, but he gave a fierce kick that sent her flying towards a tree. The elite with the spear charged forward at two Kyoshi warriors while they both swung their fans at him, but he jumped up and landed on their fans, his feet pinning them to the ground, letting him swing his spear to sweep them off their feet. Another Kyoshi warrior found herself on the defensive end as she used her shield to block the relentless assault of the elite ninja with the axe. She found herself back into a tree and locking her shield against his axe. The two seemed to be in a standoff with their respective tools, though the elite clearly had the advantage. While she struggled, another one of her fellow Kyoshi warriors tried to attack from behind with her war fan, but the elite saw this coming and used his free hand to grab her wrist and use her like a club to slam her into the previous Kyoshi warrior. Suki meanwhile found herself facing the elite with the twin-bladed sword. At first she was on the defensive with the shield. He kicked her shield away, but she jumped back with her war fan in her right hand and took her katana in her left hand and charged forward. They clashed their respective blades and locked their weapons as they glared at each other. How do you know the turtles? Suki questioned. So you've met them? The elite ninja responded. Answer me, yelled as she tried to kick him but he vanished in a plume of smoke, much to her shock. She turned around to see the smoke again and him swinging his twin-bladed sword, putting her on the defensive end. You asked who we were. The elite ninja recalled. We are the vanguard of your world's new lord and master. He announced as the other elite ninja stood by his side. Suki stood alongside her Kyoshi warriors as she and they each tried to regain their breaths, as they have never faced an opponent like this. We are the Foot. With that, the Foot elite charged forward again with the Kyoshi warriors. Meanwhile, Appa continued to fly. He did feel bad about leaving them all behind, but he knew he had to fly to try and reach Aang. At this point, he wasn't sure where he was going. He flew over a large river as the sun began to set. Appa flew for what seemed like days and even flew through a rainstorm, over what appeared to be water tribe boats, and was even spotted by Hakoda. Appa had managed to fly through a mountain valley and was even able to find the ruins of the Eastern Air Temple, his old home as a baby before moving with Aang to the Southern Air Temple. Appa took the time to roam around what was left of his old home. He didn't quite expect to find anyone as who did live here have been dead for about a century, courtesy of Fire Lord Sozin. Appa remembered his days as a cub, running through these halls with his other bison cubs. He continued to wonder and even found the old teething ring that he and the other cubs used to chew on. Appa actually tried to chew on it, but ended up coughing dust. Appa would wander around this temple for most of the night, and even when dawn started to approach. He wandered onto a balcony and saw a man there, a bald man meditating. Appa's eyes widened with joy as he assumed this was Aang. Appa leapt onto him and began to lick him repeatedly. Appa stopped to see that this was not in fact Aang, but someone else entirely. Despite being surprised, the man smiled. Hello. I am Guru Pathak. Appa looked with surprise before backing up a distance and growled at the guru as he sat up. I know I'm not the person you expected. Pathak said. And I didn't expect to be licked by a giant tongue just now. He said in a slight laugh. The world is full of surprises. Appa growled, making it clear he didn't trust him. Pathak understood and lay on his back. The sun had risen, as it was mid-morning now. Appa didn't move from his position. Patak tried to get up by raising his head, resulting in Appa growling again. Patak laid his head back, letting himself be patient with the situation. It was midday as more hours passed. Patak opened one eye, Appa growled again, and Patak lay back down. Night had now fallen and Appa had fallen asleep, lying on his side. Patak managed to get up on his feet. He walked towards Appa and placed a hand on the sleeping bison's belly. "Oh dear, you've been through so much recently. Hurt and betrayed, so twisted up inside." Patak felt a little more around his belly. "You're still full of love." He sighed however. "But fear has moved in where trust should be. I've been expecting you and the young avatar for quite some time. I had a vision many years ago of helping him. That's why I came to the Eastern Air Temple." Patak saw Appa groan in his sleep as though the bison were having a nightmare. "Oh, your emotions are so turbulent. Like swirling storm clouds." Patak placed his hand on Appa's forehead. "Let the clouds in your mind be gentle, peaceful ones." This seemed to work, as Appa had appeared to calm down in his sleep. The next morning, Appa woke up to find some fruit laid out in front of him. He took the fruit without hesitation. He turned around to find some fruit in the form of a trail, leading into the temple, which he followed while eating. Appa followed this trail outside to a small hilltop, where Patak was mediating, surrounded by many birds and squirrels. He saw Appa come up. "Someone looks very well rested, judging by your bedhead." Appa gave a groan as he shook his head and his fur straightened out. Later that night, while Patak was meditating, Appa walked behind him. He sat down behind him, showing that he trusted the guru now, something he smiled at as he stood up. Patak patted his belly as he took a note he had written and walked up to the bison's head. "I have prepared a message for Aang, may I attach it to your horn?" Appa gave a groan, indicating yes. Guru Patak tied the message around Appa's left horn. "You and the avatar's energies are mixed. You have an unbreakable bond." Patak placed his index and middle finger on Appa's head. "By reading your energy, I can sense where Aang is." Appa gratefully licked Patak in response to that. "Funny what invisible strings connect us all." Patak placed his hand on Appa's forehead and began to feel his energy, as well as Aang's. By doing this, Appa immediately knew where to find Aang. "I'll see you again, great beast." Appa flew through the night sky above the city of Ba Sing Se. However, as he flew, two Dai Li agents spotted him. The bison continued to fly and search the city for his master. He soon heard a familiar whistle. He believed this to be Aang's whistle and flew in that direction. He sat down somewhere in the lower ring area and ran to the sound. However, what the bison didn't know was that this was not Aang, as he laid asleep in the house he and his friends were staying at. Appa followed the whistle and into an alleyway. But the bison looked in surprise to see that it was actually Long Feng blowing the whistle. Before the bison reacted, Long Feng used his earthbending to turn over the ground, pulling Appa underground. The sky bison was now in the hands of the enemy. 4 individuals spotted this. The moonlight showed the silhouettes of Leonardo, Donatello, Raphael, and Michelangelo, who could only glare at the place they saw Appa once stood. Suki was thrown into a red tent. Her hands were tied behind her back, while rope was wrapped around her upper body, binding her arms to her person. Her ankles were also tied together, and she had a cloth wrapped tightly over her mouth to keep her from speaking. The other 5 Kyoshi warriors were all bound in the same way and were dropped in the tent. Suki struggled up to glare at the 4-foot elite, who bowed on their knees. "What is this?" The bound Kyoshi warriors looked to see Oroku Sake, as well as Kurai approach the elite. Suki could only assume this was their leader. "I asked for the Avatar's pet, and you bring me these children?" Sake questioned. "Master Shredder, these are allies of the Avatar. They call themselves the Kyoshi warriors, and their leader seems to have made contact with the turtles." One elite ninja informed. "Is that so?" Sake asked. "Father," Kurai began, "we do know the turtles and the Avatar are in Ba Sing Se, and while the drill did indeed penetrate the outer wall, we know nothing of the layout of the city." "True," Sake admitted. He looked down at the bound Kyoshi warriors, Suki specifically, who could only glare at him. "Have Azula and her friends returned?" "Yes, father," Kurai replied. "Excellent," Oroku Sake said. "Kurai, I have a special assignment for you and them. A very important mission for you to undertake." Chapter 10. Lake Laogai. Leonardo, Donatello, Raphael, and Michelangelo searched through the sewers of Ba Sing Se. They ran through the water of the sewers at quick speeds, wearing their dark robes to conceal their faces from any Dai Li agents that may be hidden down there. While they ran, they discussed what they saw the previous night. Long Feng has Appa, Leo said. But where's he got M? Mikey asked. That bison is huge, where can anyone hide him? Long Feng and his Dai Li are all earthbenders, so they could have hidden him anywhere in the city. Don guessed. Plus being earthbenders gives you an advantage when covering your tracks. I hope we find Long Feng first. Raph spoke. Just so I can beat the shell out of that control freak. You may get your chance, Raph. Let's keep looking, Leo said as they continued to run through the sewers. Team Avatar residence. While the turtles were in the sewers, Sokka was busy painting pictures of Appa, all of which looked like the work of a 5-year-old child. While he did this, Toph laid flat out on the floor, with Momo licking her feet. Aang and Katara soon entered the house. We found a printer to make our posters, Katara said as she held out one of the posters, which showed an identical picture of the lost bison. Aang pointed to the picture and gave an approving nod. Hey, I thought designing the lost Appa poster was my job. Sokka protested. I've been working all day on my Appa. He showed one of his drawings. Katara giggled at the bad drawing while Appa just face-palmed. Sokka, the arrow is on Appa's head. This is his head, Sokka pointed out. Katara took a look at the picture. Why are feet coming out of it? She asked with a bit of a laugh. Sokka swiped the picture back. Those are his horns. He hung his head down. I haven't seen him in a while, okay. It looks just like him to me. Toph said. Thank you, I worked really. Sokka thanked but then remembered Toph was blind. Why do you feel the need to do that? Let's just stick with the professional version. Katara told him, which resulted in Sokka tearing up his drawing in frustration. Aang looked around the house. Hey, where are Leo and the others? Said something about a sewer run. Sokka answered. Probably missing their own sewers. Seriously, why live in a sewer though? Can't really blame them. Toph pointed out. How often do you see 4 walking, talking turtles? Good point. Sokka replied. Come on, let's get busy. Aang said in an eager tone, holding out multiple posters. Within a few minutes, Aang flew over the city of Ba Sing Se on his glider with Momo by his side, letting the posters fall from his sack all over the city, hoping someone would catch them. Meanwhile, in the lower ring, at the tea shop Zuko and Iroh were working at, Zuko and Iroh continued to serve tea. They brought some tea to 2 individuals at the shop. One was a well-built man in a red shirt and blue pants, the other was rather short and wore a brown hooded robe. Unknown to the 2 firebenders, these were 2 individuals from another world, Master Splinter and Casey Jones. Both were given their tea and sipped it. Splinter took a liking to it. I must say, I've never tasted tea quite like this. You must be quite the craftsman. Splinter complimented Iroh. Iroh gave an amused chuckle. Oh, thank you. I'm just a humble tea maker. I thank you for your service. Splinter said with a bow as he stood up. Come along, Casey. Casey got up when he saw Zuko passed by. Hey kid, he said, getting his attention. That's some scar you got. What happened? Zuko was somewhat surprised that someone asked him about his scar. It's not really any of your business. It's cool, I get it, personal stuff. Casey understood. I'm guessing though some kind of bully did that, huh? Zuko didn't give a response. But Casey put a hand on the teen's shoulder. I understand, I've got a thing about bullies too. Don't let them push you around. Someone knocks you down, push back. Casey patted Zuko's shoulder with a smile as he left the shop with Master Splinter. Once outside, the 2 started talking. We searched all over this town and we ain't found any sign of the guys. Casey said. Often when you cannot see what is right in front of you, your goal is hidden underneath your nose. Splinter replied. What? Casey didn't understand. It means they're here somewhere. Splinter translated. Though this is a rather unique world they're in. I'll say. Casey stated. A 100-year-long war, elemental kung fu, seriously this is messed up. Though it seems you have taken a liking to that young man in that tea shop. Splinter pointed out. Yeah, that scar-face kid kinda reminds me of myself in a way. I got a feeling there's more to him than meets the eye. Casey said with a bit of a smile before the 2 walked off. Back in the shop, Iroh continued to serve tea to other customers. One well-dressed customer took a liking to it. He stood up and addressed Iroh. "So you're the genius behind this incredible brew. The whole city is buzzing about it. I hope Pao pays you well," the man said, who was apparently a businessman. "Good tea is its own reward," Iroh replied. "But it doesn't have to be the only reward," the businessman said. "How would you like to have your own tea shop?" "My own tea shop," Iroh repeated. "This is a dream come true." Pao overheard this. "What's going on here?" he questioned the businessman. "Are you trying to pouch my tea maker?" "Sorry pal, but that's business for you, am I right?" Pao turned to Iroh. "Mushi, if you stay I'll make you assistant manager." "Wait, senior assistant manager. I'll provide you a new apartment in the upper ring," the businessman proposed to Iroh. "The tea shop is yours to do whatever you want, complete creative freedom." "I even get to name the shop?" Iroh asked. "Of course." Pao tried desperately to keep Iroh. Senior executive assistant manager." Iroh handed his teapot to Pao as a sigh of his resignation. He bowed to the businessman, accepting the offer. Pao walked away with a dejected look on his face. Zuko walked by. "Did you hear, nephew?" Iroh asked. "This man wants to give us our own tea shop in the upper ring of the city." "That's right, young man. Your life is about to change for the better." "I'll try to contain my joy," Zuko said sarcastically as he walked outside to take a break. Once outside, Zuko leaned back near the door. A piece of paper soon fell down near him. Zuko took it and looked at the picture of Appa on it with wide eyes. He walked around and looked towards the sky to see where it could have come from. Zuko managed to climb onto a rooftop where he saw more posters falling and blowing in the wind. He looked at the poster he had in his hands and had a pretty good idea of what this meant. Team Avatar's residence. Katara and Sokka sat at a table playing some form of solitaire-based game with tiles. Toph laid on her back near a wall, nonchalantly bouncing a rock against the wall over and over. Aang just walked in. "I just finished dropping all the leaflets. Has anyone come in with news about Appa? It's only been about a day, just be patient," Katara told him. "Won't work." A voice spoke out, getting everyone's attention. The voice came from Leo as he dropped in from the ceiling alongside Raph, Mikey, and Don. "Where have all you been?" Katara asked. "In the sewers," Mikey answered. "Looking for Appa." "Why would he be there?" Sokka questioned. "He's a sky bison. Besides, Appa hates tunnels," Aang said. "But what did you mean when you said this wouldn't work?" "'Cause we saw him," Don answered. "What?" Aang, Katara, Toph, and Sokka all said at the same time. "You saw Appa," Aang exclaimed. "Where? When?" he asked, excited at seeing his bison back. "Last night, but so did Long Feng," Raph told them. "What?" Aang questioned. "Appa dropped by in the lower ring last night," Leo began. "But Long Feng and his Dai Li were able to get to him before we could. They pulled him underground. So that's why you guys were in the sewers," Katara realized. "Yeah, but we didn't find any trace of the fur ball," Raph replied. "Long Feng did a good job covering his tracks," Don added. They soon heard a knock on their door. "Who could that be?" Mikey asked as he and his brothers all put their hoods back on. Aang was the first to answer the door. He saw a familiar woman. Judy. "Hello Aang," she greeted as she stepped in. "And Leonardo, and Katara, and Donatello, and Toph, and Raphael, and Sokka, and Michelangelo. What happened to you?" Sokka asked. "Did the Dai Li throw you in jail? I thought you were killed and tossed into a ditch or something," Raph said. "What?" Judy asked as she still had her odd smile. "Jail. Ditch. Of course not. The Dai Li are the protectors of our cultural heritage. Secret police is more like it," Don uttered. "But you disappeared at the Earth King's party," Toph recalled. "Oh, I simply took a short vacation to Lake Laogai, out in the country," Judy explained. While she did, Leo gave a very suspicious look towards her. "It was quite relaxing. But they replaced you with some other woman who also said her name was Judy," Katara stated. "Yeah, what's up with that?" Mikey asked. "I'm Judy," she said. "Cut the formalities, what do you want?" Raph questioned. Judy took out one of the posters of Appa. "Dropping flyers and posters is not permitted within the city. Not without proper clearance. We can't wait around to get permission for everything," Sokka said. Listen, Leo said to Judy. I know Long Feng sent you here, and we know he has Appa. Judy looked in surprise at this. So go tell him that he can either give Appa back willingly, or we'll teach him a lesson ourselves. Despite this, Judy still bore her unnatural smile. You are absolutely forbidden by the rules of the city to confront the Dai Li or put up posters. Aang's face was red with anger as he stepped in front of Judy. We don't care about the rules. He yelled with steam coming out of him like a locomotive. And we're not asking permission. Aang's arms comically flailed as he yelled. We're finding Appa on our own and you should just stay out of our way. Aang slammed the door in front of Judy. Never seen the kid so steamed. Raph said to Leo. I'm kinda enjoying it actually. He said with a grin. That's probably gonna come back and bite us in the shell. Don commented. I don't care. Aang replied. From now on, we do whatever it takes to find Appa. Yeah, Toph cheered. Let's break some rules. She used earthbending to smash the wall on the side of the house. Toph smash. Raph commented with a grin as the two fist bumped. The group then walked outside. Once outside, Leo looked to the side on a separate rooftop to see two hidden Dai Li agents vanish. Leo gave a glare in that direction. Long Feng's quarters. I'm very disappointed in your work with the Avatar and his friends Judy. Long Feng told her as she kneeled before him. I had hoped you were able to control this situation. I'm so sorry but they don't trust me anymore. It looked as if Judy were about to break into tears. I don't think I can keep working like this. Judy. Long Feng began. The Earth King has invited you to Lake Laogai. Those words ran through Judy's head. Her pupils changed as the programming set in. I am honored to accept his invitation. She spoke in an emotionless tone. Good. Now go await further orders. Long Feng told her. She bowed and walked out of the chambers, leaving Long Feng with two Dai Li agents. Long Feng looked towards his green fire. So, those four so-called spirit warriors know we have the bison. Long Feng began to tell his Dai Li agents. I may have underestimated them. If they and the Avatar continue to cause trouble it could upset the delicate balance we've worked so hard to achieve in this city. It could even cost us control of the Earth King. Should we take care of them? One Dai Li agent asked. No. Long Feng replied. It's much too dangerous to confront them directly. Let's see if we can still handle this quietly. Meanwhile, Iroh began packing some stuff up in the apartment he shared with his nephew, as they were preparing to move into their new one in the upper ring. Zuko soon walked in. So I was thinking of names for my new tea shop. Iroh told Zuko as he was reaching for something in his robes. How about the Jasmine Dragon? It's dramatic, poetic, has a nice ring to it. Zuko got right to the point as he held out the flyer he found earlier. The Avatar is here in Ba Sing Se, and he's lost his bison. Iroh took the flyer and had a good idea where Zuko was going to this. We have a chance for a new life here. If you start stirring up trouble, we could lose all the good things that are happening for us. Good things that are happening for you. Zuko stated. Have you ever thought that I wanted more from life than a nice apartment and a job serving tea? There is nothing wrong with a life of peace and prosperity. Iroh told him. I suggest you think about what it is that you want from your life, and why. I want my destiny. What that means is up to you. Iroh told him as Zuko walked away. The Tea Weevil. Iroh fought as a name for his tea shop. No, that's stupid. Meanwhile, Leo, Aang, Raph, Sokka, Toph, Mikey, Don, and Katara all stood at one particular spot in the lower ring. The turtles still bore their hooded robes as they were in public. This was the last place we saw Appa. Leo informed the group. Toph, can you feel any tunnels or anything that can lead us as to where they took him? Nope. Toph said. Like you guys said, these guys covered their tracks. Alright then, we'll split up to cover more ground. Leo instructed. Any of you see anything, call the others. And be on the lookout for more Dai Li goons, no doubt they're watching us. If I spot any, I ain't running. Raph said. I'm gonna interrogate the shell out of them. Raph cracked his knuckles. That makes two of us. Toph said with an eager smile. I'm going with Raph. The group then took off in separate directions. Katara found herself walking by a small stream and a broken down building. She heard a familiar voice behind her. Katara. She turned around and gasped at whom she saw. I think I can help you. Jet said. Katara had a look of anger on her face, while her cheeks also blushed. Without another word, she used her waterbending to pull the water from the stream out and send a massive wave towards Jet. Katara, I've changed. Jet tried, but the wave hit him and sent him into an alleyway. Katara ran to the alley and pulled water up from the puddle. Tell it to some other girl, Jet, she said, as she was not going to listen. She sent multiple ice spikes towards Jet, which he quickly deflected with his hook swords, though he was backed closer to the wall at the end of the alley. I don't want to fight you. I'm here to help, Jet said as he threw away his hook swords, much to Katara's surprise. He reached into a pocket on the back, but Katara sent more ice spikes to pin him to the wall, revealing that he was holding a rolled-up piece of paper. All the others caught up with Katara once they heard the commotion. Katara, what is it? Sokka asked. Jet's back. All set their eyes on him. You mean that psycho, hate-mongering kid you told us about? Raph questioned. I wouldn't say all that about him, Aang said, rubbed his head. But didn't this guy try to kill a bunch of people? Mikey asked. You know what we call that? Attempted mass murder, Raph stated as he and Mikey gave glares to Jet. For once I agree, Raph. Katara said. We can't trust anything Jet says. We don't know why he's even here though. Don tried. I don't care why he's here, whatever the reason is, it can't be good. Katara replied. Yeah, who knows what this preteen whack job has up his sleeve. Raph said. Hold on, Leo exclaimed, getting everyone's attention. He turned to the teen. Jet, right? Yeah, why are you here? Leo questioned. I'm here to help you find Appa. Jet revealed as he let the paper he was holding roll out, revealing it as one of the group's flyers. Katara, we have to give him a chance, Aang told her. Give us a reason why we should trust you, Raph told Jet, and it better be a good one. What he said. Mikey agreed with Raph. I swear I've changed, Jet began. I was a troubled person and I let my anger get out of control. But I don't even have the gang now, I put all that behind me. You're lying, Katara exclaimed, not trusting him. Toph walked up to the wall Jet was pinned to and put her hand to it. He's not lying. How can you tell? Dawn asked. I can feel his breathing and heartbeat. Toph explained. When people lie, there's a physical reaction. He's telling the truth. Human lie detector. Mikey deduced. Sweet. Katara, we don't have any other leads. Aang began. If Jet says he can take us to Appa, we have to check it out. The Dai Li took Appa and covered their tracks, remember? Raph recalled. How's this hate-monger gonna know? Leo turned to Jet. How do you know about Appa? I've seen and heard about him. I think I might know where he is. Jet explained. Toph? Leo asked. It's the truth. Okay. Leo unsheathed his katanas and cut the ice, pinning Jet to the wall, releasing him. Alright, Katara said before flashing a glare and finger to Jet. But we're not letting you out of our sight. Raph also gave a glare. And there's any tricks, Raph pointed to his chest. I'm pounding you so deep into the ground, you'll think you're a fossil. Understood, Jet replied, though Leo wasn't so sure. Granted, Toph did confirm he was telling the truth, something about this felt off. Jet led the group into a large barn. This is the place I heard about. They all looked around. It's certainly big enough to hold Appa. Dawn observed. There's nothing here, Aang said, as the barn was empty. Hold on, Leo said. Toph, any tunnels or something the Dai Li may have used to transport him? Toph felt around. Nope, nothing. Katara and Raph both flashed glares towards Jet. Start explaining, kid, Raph told him. If this is a trap. Katara began. I told you, I work nearby. Jet told them. Some guys were talking about a giant furry creature they had, I figured it must be Appa. Guys, over here, Mikey called. He picked up a piece of white fur as the group caught up with him. Dawn took a moment to look at it. Yep, this is Appa's fur alright. Dawn confirmed as Aang took it in his hand. We missed him, Aang said dejectedly as he felt the fur. An old janitor walked by the group as he was sweeping up the floor. They took that big thing yesterday, he said, getting the group's attention. Shipped him out to some island. About time, I've been cleaning up fur and various leavings all day. Yesterday, Leo questioned. What island? Where's Appa? Aang excitedly asked. Foreman said some rich royal type on Whale Tail Island bought him up. The janitor said. Guess for a zoo or such. Could be, the meat be good. We've got to get to Whaletail Island. Aang said. Only one problem, Aang. Mikey began. Where's Whaletail Island? Sokka and Don looked at the world map they had. Far. Sokka said. Very far. How far exactly? Raph questioned. Don laid the map on the floor so they all could see. Right here. He pointed. Close to the South Pole, almost all the way back to Sokka and Katara's home. Are you freaking kidding me? Raph angrily questioned. That far? Aang, it'll take us weeks just to get to the tip of the Earth Kingdom. Katara said. And we'll need a boat to get to the island. Not to mention it'll take away a huge chunk of our time to prepare for the invasion. Leo added. I don't care. Aang replied. We have a chance to find Appa, we have to try. Must be nice to visit an island. The janitor said. I haven't had a vacation for years. Don't you have some more hair to clean up? Katara told the janitor. Translation. Get lost, old man. Raph added. Yeah. The janitor replied. No more need for old Sweetie. He continued to brush. Katara put a hand on Aang's shoulder. You're right, Aang. Right now, our first concern has to be finding Appa. We can come back when we get him. Somehow I feel we won't be welcomed back though. Don added. Either way, let's get moving. Sokka said as the group began to walk out. Jet ran up to them. I'll come with you. We don't need your help. Katara harshly told him. Why won't you trust me? Jet asked as he walked out with the others, leaving just Katara, Toph, and Mikey. Gee, I wonder, she said sarcastically. Was this guy your boyfriend or something? Toph asked. What? No. Katara quickly replied as she turned her head away. I can tell you're lying. Toph sang. Mikey joked, gave an amused smile. Should I tell Aang you've been leading him on or something? He joked with a snicker. Katara's face turned red as steam came out of her ears. She walked out soon afterwards. Toph and Mikey both snickered before fist bumping. The group was now walking out in the streets. Don and Sokka were both looking at the map in front of them. We can take the train out of the wall, but then we'd have to walk. Sokka said. And not counting the sleep and food we're gonna need, it'll be 2 months at the earliest before we can get a boat to the island. Don added. Don't worry, Aang assured. On the way back we'll be flying. We're finally leaving, Boss Sing Se. Toph said with joy. Worst city ever. You said it, kid. Raph agreed. Hold on a sec, guys. Leo stopped, getting the group's attention. This doesn't feel right. What do you mean? We know where to find Appa. Aang said. Do we? Leo questioned. That janitor said Appa was at that barn yesterday. But my brothers and I saw him last night. That doesn't add up. Plus, look how far Whaletail Island is from here. The Dai Li are earthbenders, but there's no way they can move something as big as Appa that fast. The pieces just don't fit right. What are you saying? Katara asked. I'm saying this is too much of a coincidence. Yeah, he's right. Raph agreed. Long Feng and his goons are busy trying to keep the war secret from this city, but we present a problem. We saw him nab Appa, but now he's supposedly bought up on an island on the other side of the planet. This has to be some kind of trick. But Toph said Jet was telling the truth. Sokka said. That's also something that confuses me. Leo added. How could Jet have heard about Appa if the bison only arrived last night? He couldn't have been bought up this quickly. All set their eyes on Jet, but before something else could be said, Smellerby and Longshot both walked out of an alleyway and saw their leader. Jet. Smellerby exclaimed, getting everyone's attention. I thought you said you didn't have your gang anymore. Katara angrily told Jet. I don't. He replied before Smellerby embraced him. We were so worried, she exclaimed. How'd you get away from the Dai Li? That got everyone's attention. The Dai Li, Katara, Mikey, Leo, and Raph all exclaimed at the same time. I don't know what she's talking about. Jet said. Don put a finger to his chin, somehow the pieces were starting to come together. What happened? Where did you guys last see Jet? He asked Smellerby and Longshot. He got arrested by the Dai Li a couple days ago. We saw them drag him away. Smellerby revealed. You don't say. Raph uttered as he gave a suspicious look towards Jet. Why would I be arrested? I've been living peacefully in the city. Jet replied. Toph, human lie detector time. Mikey told her. She was already on it. This doesn't make any sense, they're both telling the truth. That's impossible, Katara said. No, it's not, Leo contradicted. Leo's right, Sokka agreed. Toph can't tell who's lying because they both think they're telling the truth. And given all the stuff we just said, about Appa being coincidentally sent to another island, when he was only caught last night, this proves it. Leo figured it out. Jet's been brainwashed. Whoa, Mikey exclaimed. Plot twist. That's crazy. It can't be, Jet exclaimed in pure confusion. The group soon began to close in around him. Stay away from me. They got closer. Jet soon acted out of fear and drew his hook swords. Stay away. All of you stay away. Mikey soon gave a punch across the jaw, knocking Jet out. Most looked in surprise and turned to Mikey for what he did. What? He was freaking me out. Later that night. The night was eerie in Ba Sing Se as a lone Dai Li agent walked through the streets alone, or so he thought. Right behind him, Zuko in his guise as the Blue Spirit, ran past the Dai Li agent. Out of my way Skinny, he said as he pushed the agent down and ran past him. This angered the agent as he looked towards the masked assailant, who turned down an alleyway. The agent ran after him. Once he turned down the alley, he spotted the supposed masked man and shot out his right rock glove, which took the form of a fist, punching him in the gut. The agent sent out his other rock glove and knocked the head right off, only to reveal it was a dummy stuffed with hay. Before the agent knew it, a sword was placed up to his neck as the Blue Spirit stood behind him. If you don't want to end up like him, you'll do what I say. Meanwhile, in a small building nearby, Leo, Aang, Katara, Mikey, Raph, Toph, Sokka, Don, along with Smellerby and Longshot stood looking towards Jet who sat in a chair in front of them. The Dai Li sent Jet to get us out of the city. Leo said. Yeah, and that janitor was part of their plot too. Katara agreed. What are the odds that Appa is in the same place they took Jet? Don guessed. Where did they take you? Aang asked Jet. Nowhere, I don't know what you're talking about. Jet said honestly. Don't suppose I can pound your memory back into you. Raph said as he punched his palm with his fist. Why is it always the violent way with you? Aang asked him. Hey, it usually works. Raph replied. How could these guys even brainwash Jet anyway? Mikey asked. My guess is through a form of hypnosis of some kind. Don theorized. We need to find a way to jog his real memory. Aang said. Maybe Katara should kiss him, that should bring something back. Sokka joked. Raph smacked Sokka upside the head. Focus idiot. Why don't you kiss him Sokka? Katara angrily told him. Hey, it's just an idea. Sokka replied as he rubbed the part of his head where Raph smacked him. A bad one. Aang replied with a scowl as he looked away. Don, any ideas? Leo asked. They've somehow altered Jet's immediate memory. Don began. But memories are always there, they might be changed but they don't go away. We need a way to trigger it, try to reset his cognitive memory. Yeah, try to think of something from your past that triggers your emotions. Toph said as she could tell where Toph was going. The Fire Nation, Smellerby recalled. Remember what they did to your family. Close your eyes. Picture it, Katara told him. Jet did so and began to look back. He soon saw an old childhood memory of Fire Nation soldiers burning down his home, with a young teary-eyed Jet. This memory shocked him back to reality. No, it's too painful. Leo kneeled down in front of Jet. He soon took off his hood, to reveal his face, much to Jet's shock. Leo, Raph exclaimed. What the shell are you doing? Just trust me Raph. Leo replied. What the? Smellerby exclaimed in shock as Don, Mikey, even Raph lowered their hoods to reveal their faces. What are you? Jet exclaimed. It's okay. It's alright. Aang quickly put in. They're friends. They're spirits. Spirit warriors that are here to help. They're my friends, you can trust them. The three freedom fighters seemed to calm down. Leo looked at Jet straight into the eyes. Look Jet. Leo began. I understand my appearance may be a bit much for you, but I need you to listen to me. Your memories are still in there. Look past your pain, don't fight it, let it flow. Let your real memories reach the surface, let your mind roam free. Leo's words seemed to echo in Jet's mind as he closed his eyes again and let it all flow. He soon found himself standing on top a lake, facing Long Feng. Jet then found himself being dragged under the water and being pulled into a dark lair. It all came back to him now. They took me to a secret headquarters under the water. Jet said. Like a lake. Hold on. Mikey said. That Judy lady said something about a lake. Yeah, Lake Laogai. Sokka recalled. That's it. Lake Laogai. Jet remembered. Okay, now we know where it is. Leo said. He turned to face the group. We have had our backs to the wall for too long, it's time we take the fight straight to the Dai Li. If they won't listen to reason, then it's time we bring them down. Shell yeah, Raph eagerly exclaimed, let's kick some ass. The next morning, Casey rode on his motorcycle on the outskirts of the inner wall, with Master Splinter in the back. They continued to ride, though Casey gave a deep sigh. We've been searching for the guys forever. We're never gonna find them. Splinter looked a bit towards the side. Look over there, close to that lake. Casey stopped his motorcycle, they looked downhill towards a large lake, they saw several small figures walking towards the lake. They recognized 4 of them, even from that far away. It's the guys, Casey stated. Yes, though it seems they may be on a mission of some sort. Splinter observed as he stroked his little beard. Then what ya say we give em a hand, sensei? Casey asked with a knowing smile, which Splinter returned with his own grin. The combined group consisting of the Turtles, Team Avatar, and the Freedom Fighters came before the shore of Lake Laogai. This must be it, Leo said. So where's this secret headquarters? Sokka asked. Under the water I think. Jet recalled. Perfect spot to hide a base. Don stated. Great, but how do we get in? Mikey asked. There's a tunnel right there near the shore. Toph pointed to the far left as she walked towards the supposed spot while whistling. Toph stopped at the spot and took an earthbending stance. With a jump and lunge of her fist, she revealed the bridge that lead to the hatch for the tunnel. Nice work kid, Raph complimented as he rubbed Toph's hair. The group soon came before the hatch, which Toph moved with her earthbending. They all looked down the hole. Dude, Mikey said as the word echoed throughout the tunnel. And down the rabbit hole we go. Leo said. What? Aang asked. Never mind. Let's go. After climbing down, Leo led the group near the larger tunnel. Most of the group had their respective weapons out while the benders maintained their bending stances. Leo was closer to the opening. He peered down the tunnel and saw the coast was clear. He made a gesture with his katana to slowly and quietly move forward. Everyone nodded as he led the group down the hall. It's all starting to come back to me. Jet said as memories began to come into his mind. They quietly passed by a small room where a Dai Li agent stood in front of several near-identical women wearing identical clothes. I'm Judy. Welcome to Boss Sing Se. The agent said. I'm Judy. Welcome to Boss Sing Se. All the women repeated at the same time. Yeah, that's not creepy or anything. Mikey whispered. We're so lucky to have our walls to create order. The agent said. We're so lucky to have our walls to create order. The women repeated once more. Looks like you were right about the hypnosis, Don. Leo said as the group continued to walk down the hall. Yeah, this is a major conspiracy going on here. How long has this thing been down here? Don questioned. Maybe even since the start of the war. Leo guessed. But that's 100 years ago. Mikey reminded. I know, which makes this all the more dangerous. Leo replied. Yeah well, I like danger. Raph replied. Though it seems like the Fire Nation aren't the only bad guys in this war. Kinda makes you wonder, who the good guys are. There are hardly any in war. Leo said. So Jet, anything on Appa? Mikey asked. I think so. Jet replied. I think there might be a cell big enough to hold Appa up ahead. The group walked towards a stone door on the other side of the hallway. I think it's through here. Appa sat, chained to the floor, in his dark cell. He looked to see his door open. The bison got up to see who opened it. Expecting someone else, Zuko, still in his guise as the Blue Spirit, asked the bison as he walked into the cell. Jet opened the door to reveal a large and dark chamber. The group slowly and quietly walked inside, their arms at the ready. Leo soon sensed something. We're not alone. Before anything else could be said, the door closed behind them and the chamber lit up, revealing several dozen Dai Li agents on the ceiling, much to the group's surprise. Now that's something different, Sokka said. Seen it before. Mikey shrugged. Long Feng revealed himself at the other side of the chamber of the You have made yourselves enemies of the state. He addressed the glaring heroes who readied their weapons. Take them into custody. Every single Dai Li agent dropped down and slowly approached the group, who readied themselves. But Toph soon sensed something that made her look confused. Guys, she began. Something's coming. Really fast. Before anyone could respond to that, they all heard some form of motor sound. When everyone looked down a dark hall, they saw a light. Out of the darkness, a motorcycle quickly rode through. The man on it swerved the motorcycle on its side, which knocked back 3 Dai Li agents foolish enough to stand in its way. What the heck is that? Sokka exclaimed. The man on the motorcycle revved it up once more before riding straight towards the massive group of Dai Li agents. They erected an earth wall, causing the man to jump of his vehicle. It slammed into the wall and exploded, knocking back all the agents behind it. The man landed on his feet, with his bag of various sportswear on his back and his signature hockey mask. Now that's what I call crashing a party. Casey, Raph exclaimed, recognizing him instantly. You know this guy? Aang asked. Yeah, he's a good friend. Leo replied. Casey slowly walked towards the group, taking out a baseball bat, as 2 Dai Li agents approached him. Though I never seen a lamer party in my life, Casey said as slammed the bat in both their heads, knocking them back. Where's the band? He stood with the guys. So you green guys babysitting or something? Babysitting? Toph questioned irritatingly. Long story. Don told him. But how'd you get here? What? You thought we let you guys have all the fun? Casey joked. We? Raph questioned. As soon as that was said, a familiar humanoid rodent fell from the ceiling and landed gracefully on his feet. He wielded his wooden walking stick like a staff as he stood with his sons. Master Splinter. Leo, Raph, Don, and Mikey exclaimed at the same time. Your master? Katara questioned the turtles. Your rat teacher? Sokka asked as well. Yep, Mikey replied. Jet turned to Aang hoping for an explanation. Long story, I'll explain later. And my sons, I expect an explanation from you as well. Splinter addressed the turtles before turning towards the enemy. I don't know who you are. He spoke to Long Feng. But if you threaten my sons, then I will be your opponent as well. Splinter readied himself. Sir, one agent asked Long Feng, who only looked with a scowl. Arrest them all. The Dai Li agents readied themselves to follow their leader's orders. This can't be the band, Casey said, following his joke. I want rock and roll, man. He took out his hockey stick. Good thing I brought my own drumsticks. Now, who wants to be the drum? Goongala. With that, all the heroes charged forward towards the small army of Dai Li agents. Casey was among the first to attack. He swerved under 3 stone fists sent by 3 agents. Once he got up to them, he smacked one across the face with his hockey stick, and did the same for the second and the third as well. 2 stone fists were coming towards Casey, which Toph was able to destroy with her earthbending. She erected 2 pillars to send those 2 angers flying. Raph jumped over Toph into a group of agents. He was able to kick one away before a few threw retractable chains at him, which wrapped around his right arm. He pulled his arm forward with such strength that it pulled the agents towards him, which he nailed with a large roundhouse kick. Leo sliced all the incoming stone hands heading his way before running towards a group of Dai Li. They erected stone pillars to block his path, but he simply jumped on the pillars as they rose and jumped over straight down into the group. With a few slashes, they were all thrown back towards the wall. Jet ran towards 2 agents, cutting through their flying stone gloves with his hook swords. He slid under one and caught his foot in the hook, and tripping him over. The other one was about to get him, but he got smacked away by Don, who slammed his staff into his chest, knocking the wind out of him. Many Dai Li agents sent a few stone trails towards Don, which he pole vaulted over with his staff. Mikey jumped with him using the chains to swing with his nunchuck. He caught Don's hand with his own. The 2 let gravity do its work as the 2 slammed their feet into the incoming agents. Katara used her water to slice through incoming stone hands, as did Sokka with his boomerang. The 2 were pulled with more stone hands towards more agents, but Master Splinter, with very quick speed, swerved past them and shattered the stone hands off the 2 with simple chops. Splinter jumped towards the 2 Dai Li and gave a split kick to each of their heads as they landed between him. Toph and Raph stood back to back as at least 6 Dai Li agents approached them from all sides. Toph created a massive rock pillar to ascend herself and Raph. The 6 agents followed suit to get on the same platform as them. As soon as they landed they faced the wrath of Raphael. He kicked one in the face, flashed his side towards a second who caught in his stone hand, only for Raph to flip him over into a third agent knocking them both over. Toph shifted the platform and created 2 stone pillars to slam in the guts of 2 agents, knocking them both back. Only one stood left behind them. Raph reeled back a fist, and Toph did the same with her fist coated in rock. Both fists slammed into the agent's face, knocking him all the way to the other side of the chamber, leaving an impression. The two grinned as they fist bumped. Aang sent an air wave with a slice of his staff, knocking back several agents. Many tried to ride towards him from behind on earth waves, but Mikey landed behind Aang and with a flail of his nunchucks, sent them all flying. He smiled with his tongue hanging out as he twirled his nunchucks. Aang gave a grateful smile before kicking and sending both a stone and air wave to another pair of agents, knocking them all away. Jet stood back to back with Smellerby, as they took down 2 more agents. Longshot swerved next to them and fired an arrow to knock down a stone fist from an agent. He and 3 others rushed towards them, but Leo landed in their path and ran towards them. Leo jumped over their flying stone fists and landed behind them. He slashed the 2 from behind with horizontal slices from both his swords. Before the other 2 could react, he gave a kick to the head of one agent and slammed the blunt of his sword handle into the face of the last, knocking him out. Casey had a hockey stick in one hand and a baseball bat in the other. He twirled them both before charging to 3 incoming agents. He slammed into one elbow first, knocking him to the ground. The other 2 used their gauntlets to pin him to the ground, but Casey gave a kick with his feet to knock them both back. He got back up as they did. One was greeted with the bat to the gut and the hockey stick to the jaw. 5 more stood in front of him. He readied himself, but they all fell down as Master Splinter stood behind him, indicating he already took them down. "Ah, I would have decked them," Casey jokingly complained. Splinter flashed an amused smile before he jumped back into the fight. Long Feng watched as this fight continued. He had a sinking feeling his agents would soon lose, so he backed into a nearby doorway which Aang noticed. "Long Feng is escaping," the young avatar told the whole group. "Aang and Jet with me, we'll handle Long Feng. Everyone else take care of these guys." Leo ordered the group before he, Aang, and Jet ran after Long Feng. Aang knocked the door down with earthbending as he, Leo, and Jet ran down a hallway. The 3 ran into a large chamber that appeared to be some sort of sewage drainage area. They looked around and spotted Long Feng behind them, who sealed the door with his own earthbending. "All right, Avatar," Long Feng began, "you've caused me enough problems. This is your last chance. If you want your bison back." Leo was right, "You do have Appa," Aang stated. "Tell me where he is." "I highly advised you listen to him, Long Feng," Leo told him. "Unless you'd rather do this the hard way," he said as he flashed his katanas. "Agree to exit the city now, and I'll waive all charges against all of you, and allow you to leave with your lost pet," Long Feng proposed. "You're in no position to bargain," Jet stated. "Am I not?" Long Feng questioned in a surprisingly calm tone. "You're definitely not," Aang replied. Leo saw the smirk on Long Feng's face. "You've got another trick up your sleeve, don't you?" he asked with a glare. "You must be the smart one," Long Feng replied. "Jet, the Earth King has invited you to Lake Laogai." Leo looked towards Jet, having a bad feeling where this was going. Jet's pupils changed. "I am honored to accept his invitation," Jet stated calmly. "Ah shell." Leo cussed. He was able to react in time to stop Jet's attack with his own sword standing in front of Aang. Leo kicked Jet back. Jet charged forward and clashed his blades with Leo's katanas. Elsewhere, Appa glared and growled at Zuko in his blue spirit guise as he readied his Dao swords. "You're mine now," Zuko stated. He heard the door open behind him and readied his blades, but it was Iroh who stood before him. "Uncle, so the blue spirit," Iroh began to fake ponder. "I wonder who could be behind that mask." Zuko sighed before taking off his mask to reveal his face. "What are you doing here?" "I was just about to ask you the same thing," Iroh replied. "What do you plan to do, now that you've found the Avatar's bison?" "Keep it locked in our new apartment. Shall I go put on a pot of tea for him?" "First I have to get it out of here," Zuko said. "And then what?" Iroh yelled. You never think these things through. This is exactly what happened when you captured the Avatar at the North Pole. You had him, and then you had nowhere to go. I would have figured something out. Zuko exclaimed. No, Iroh exclaimed back. If his friends hadn't found you, you would have frozen to death. Zuko growled. I know my own destiny, uncle. Is it your own destiny? Or is it a destiny that someone else has tried to force on you? Iroh questioned. Stop it, uncle. Zuko exclaimed as he turned back to Appa. I have to do this. I'm begging you, Prince Zuko. Iroh told him. It's time you look inward, and begin asking yourself the big question. Zuko shook as Iroh continued. Who are you? And what do you want? Zuko slammed his mask and swords on the ground as he yelled in pure frustration, and it echoed throughout the chamber. Back with the others, who were currently facing the Dai Li agents, Katara, Raph, Don, Toph, Mikey, Sokka, Casey, Smellerby, and Longshot found themselves standing together against a group of at least 15 remaining Dai Li agents. There's just so many, Katara stated. How are we gonna get out of this one? Sokka questioned. Leave that to me. Master Splinter leapt above the group of heroes and landed right in the middle of the Dai Li agents. Before they could react, he attacked. Splinter used his walking like a weapon. He slammed it backwards into the face of the first agent, then back forward into the second. He twirled it before using the spinning stick to slam it into the faces of 3 more agents. Splinter then swerved his feet, knocking down most of the agents circling him. He gave a hand thrust to one. The force was enough to send the agent through the group, taking down at least 5 agents. With just a few more punches and strikes with his staff, all the remaining agents were sent flying to the wall and smacked into it before falling down in a heap of unconsciousness before Master Splinter took a finishing combat stance. Katara, Sokka, Smellerby, Longshot, and even Toph had their jaws drop at this sight, while Raph, Casey, Mikey and Don had knowing smiles as this was expected. But just one, he's a rat, and a lot of them, but that's, Sokka was unable to find the words. I got one word. Whoa. Toph breathed. You said it, Toph. Katara repeated with wide eyes. Yep, Master Splinter kicks butt. Raph said with a cocky grin. Leo continued to clash his katanas against Jet's hook swords, though Leo was on the defensive side as he was holding back against Jet due to him acting against his own will. Jet, stop. Aang tried. You don't have to do this. Leo kicked Jet back and glared at Long Feng. Something's telling he doesn't have a choice, Aang. Right you are, turtle. Long Feng replied. Jet was sweating, as he was quite tired. He tried to strike Aang, but Leo blocked his blade with his sword. Jet, you can't keep fighting. Your body's gonna give out. Jet tried to hack and slash at Leo relentlessly, but Leo blocked all of his strikes. Aang, if he can't snap out of this, I'll have to bring him down. Leo stated as he swerved around Jet and slammed his elbow in his back, causing Jet to tumble backwards. Jet, however, stood back up, despite the fatigue he had. Leo, wait. Aang said as he stood in between them. He turned to face Jet. Jet, I'm your friend. Look inside your heart. Jet looked quite conflicted. Aang, keep getting through, it's working. Leo stated. Do your duty, Jet. Long Feng told him. No, Jet, he's not your master, you don't have to serve him. Leo told Jet, as this seemed to work as well. Leo's right, he can't make you do this. You're a freedom fighter. Aang reminded him. Those words made Jet stop as all his memories of him and his fellow freedom fighters flowed back into him. Jet's eyes turned back to normal, which Leo noticed, causing him to lower his swords. Do it now, Long Feng told Jet. Jet turned around and with a yell, threw his hook sword towards Long Feng, who swerved out of the way and sent an earth column racing towards Jet, which slammed him in the rib cage, much to Leo and Aang's shock. Jet landed on his back. Aang ran towards Jet, while Leo went after Long Feng, who lifted himself with an earth pillar up to a drainage tunnel before Leo could get to him. Foolish boy. Long Feng cursed Jet. You've chosen your own demise. Leo glared at Long Feng as he ran away. Damn coward. Leo cursed. He looked down and picked up the hook sword Jet threw. He walked towards Aang, who kneeled by Jet's side, and placed the sword next to the other before kneeling himself. I'm sorry, Aang. Jet weakly said. Don't be. Aang told him. It wasn't your fault. Leo added. The door opened to reveal all the others. They all saw the downed Jet with wide eyes and ran towards him. What happened? Mikey asked. Long Feng happened, Leo replied. Raph growled, where's that good-for-nothing scumbag? Gone. He got away, Leo replied. Katara immediately pulled out her healing water and tried to apply it to Jet. Don also placed his hand near Jet's chest and his eyes slightly widened. Not good, Don said. All his ribs are broken, and he's got a punctured lung. He's bleeding internally. Is there anything you can do, my son? Splinter asked. No, Don said as he shook his head. He has maybe 5 minutes at the most. Aang, Katara, Sokka, Smellerby, and Mikey gasped at that, while Raph, Splinter, and Longshot hung their heads down. Casey lifted his hockey mask to show his face, which bore a sorrowful look. He didn't have anything to say. He barely knew this kid, but didn't like it one bit as he knew this kid was going to die. Jet, Katara said. Funny, Jet said with an ironic laugh and a cough. Kinda thought a firebender would be the one to do me in, not an earthbender. Life is screwed up. Huh. You got no idea, Raph replied. Sorry for not trusting you earlier, kid. It's alright, Jet breathed as he coughed again. I deserved it. You guys go and find Appa. Smellerby told them all. We'll take care of Jet. We can't just leave you guys here, Mikey replied. There's no time. Just go. Longshot spoke. We'll take care of him. He's our leader. They all understood as they stood up. Jet grunted. It's Leo, right? Yes, the blue-clad turtle replied. You seem pretty good with swords, Jet coughed as he took his hook swords in his hand. Take mine. Most of the group's eyes widened at this. Jet Leo tried. You might need them when you take down the Fire Nation. Jet coughed as he had just a few moments left. At least, in a way, I can see this through. Jet slowly lifted the hook swords. Leo placed his hand on Jet's as he took the hook swords and wielded one in each hand. I will honor you with them, Jet. That's a promise, Leo vowed. Jet smiled before he gave one final breath and his head fell back. Most of the group's eyes quivered, especially Katara and Smellerby. I do not wish to impose, but we must leave now, Splinter said. He's right, let's go, Aang said as he, Katara, Leo, Raph, Splinter, Toph, Mikey, Don, Sokka, and Casey all walked out, leaving a sobbing Smellerby and Longshot pointing an arrow down one tunnel. The group opened a door to see the cell where Appa was once held, only to find it was empty. Appa's gone, Aang stated. Long Feng must have beaten us here, Don said. If we hurry we should be able to catch him, Mikey said. I hope so, Raph growled. I got a few gallons of fists to unload on that bastard. The group then ran through the tunnels. Fellas, Casey spoke up. What exactly is going on here? We'll explain later, Casey, right now just follow us, Leo said as the group continued to run. An earth hole was formed out of the edge of the lake as Leo, Aang, Katara, Splinter, Raph, Sokka, Toph, Mikey, Don, and Casey all ran outside. Guys, we got company, Mikey said as he looked back to see several Dai Li running agents after them. You think we can outrun them? Sokka asked. I don't think it's gonna matter, Aang replied. The group saw Long Feng and many other Dai Li agents standing far in front of them. The agents erected a massive earth wall to cut off their escape route as Long Feng stood on the top. The agents behind them erected an earth wall as well, completely trapping the entire group. Even 2 agents hung on the side canyon on their right, with the lake on their left. The group was trapped. Leo glared up at Long Feng, who glared back down at him. Raph ran up to Leo's side. Long Feng, you damn bastard. Raph yelled, come down here and let me kick your sorry ass black and blue, you Fire Lord wannabe. I'd rather not, Long Feng replied simply. The group readied themselves for one large fight they were likely going to have. Momo soon flew in towards the group and landed on Aang's shoulder, chirping loudly. What is it, Momo? The lemur flew straight upwards towards the sun. In the light, Momo vanished, and a certain bison flew downwards towards the group. What the hell is that? Casey exclaimed. Appa, Aang exclaimed happily as he, Leo, Raph, Katara, Sokka, Toph, Mikey, and Don all smiled widely. Appa slammed through both walls with great strength, causing them both to shatter, and sending all the Dai Li agents on them flying. Aang and Toph ran towards the canyon and with a combined earthbending form, sent a platform out that sent the agents perched there flying into the lake. Long Feng struggled to get up, but soon found a hook sword pointed towards him. He looked up to see the wearer Leo glaring at him with Mikey, Raph, and Don by his side glaring at him as well. Long Feng immediately got up and took an earthbending stance. "I can handle you four by myself. It's not yous you need to worry about," Leo stated as he gestured behind him. Long Feng turned around to see Appa land and growl at him. Long Feng tried to attack but Appa bit into his leg and with a mighty heave, sent Long Feng skipping across the lake's surface like a rock. Appa then spat out Long Feng's shoe. "And he's outta here," Mikey exclaimed as he patted Appa's head. "Not bad you fur ball, not bad." Raph complimented as he, Leo, Don, and Mikey patted his head. Aang ran towards him and hugged the bison's head, as did Katara, Toph, and Sokka. "I missed you buddy," Aang said as tears of joy fell from his eyes. Appa gave a contentful groan, happy to be reunited with Aang as well. Leo saw Aang and Appa together and could only smile at this. Casey and Splinter soon walked up towards the group. "Yo, now that is one ass-kicking animal," Casey complimented with a smile. "My sons." The turtles walked towards their father. "I trust an explanation is now in order. Boy have we got a story to tell you," all four said at the same time. Meanwhile, Zuko and Iroh both climbed out of the Dai Li lair and outside. Zuko looked to the sky bison in the air that held all his companions on board. "You did the right thing nephew," Iroh said to Zuko, indicating he was the one who sent Appa free. Zuko looked towards his blue spirit mask. "Leave it behind," Iroh told him. Zuko then dropped the mask into the water and let it sink. And this is the end of part 5 of this What If. I hope you guys like it. Don't really leave a comment down below and subscribe to the channel.